What's up chaps, I'm MagicalMike and welcome to a Halo 3 legendary speedrun of Cortana. This is played on MCC on PC with mouse and keyboard, recorded back through theatre mode with deaths and checkpoint reverts edited out. The original run took 16 minutes and 3 seconds, the edit here takes about 9 minutes and 20. You'll also notice that I carried in my hammer and a needler from the previous mission, so slightly different. I had to do a rerun of Covenant to get more hammer with that, more hammer ammo, and the needler instead of the spiker. So the first point here, we're going to turn around and hammer launch as far as we can, and if we drop down this hole before Gravemind is done talking, then this Cortana scene just cuts off and it gives us back full control. If not, then you waste a few seconds, but it's worth using the hammer ammo to do that. A lot of this mission is rough. This room in particular, if guys have assault rifles, swords or shotguns, then you can kill them if you're worried about them. Otherwise, we're just avoiding as much stuff as possible. And if any explodey guys are in the way, then you can stick them if you're worried about them. But otherwise, we're just going to run and hope. Over here, crouch jump over this purple covenanty bit of the ship that isn't quite corrupted by Gravemind's glorious flood bits. I don't know what to call them. Fleshy meat sacks. Let's not even think about it and just carry on moving. I think there's more opportunities to be hammer launching, but I'm just wary about my ammo at this point, so I'm not doing so. Turning around here, doing a quick hammer launch down this slope here, combining it with a slight jump in order to get quite a bit more distance. You can do a couple more there, but again, I was a bit wary of how much ammo I have, and I wasn't quite sure how much I could possibly spend. But honestly, I could have used 5 more hammer jumps here, because we're going to get a new hammer just around the corner here too. Make sure that we pick up one of these deployable covers, and we're going to swap both of our weapons here for a sword and a new hammer. So we've got sword, hammer, deployable cover, good stuff. Here, toss the deployable cover down here, so we can use it as a thing to jump up with later on, and we're just going to run through this section and hope that we don't get murdered. Picking up this cloaking here, because that'll come in handy. Tossing any kind of sticky grenades at any ranged siege forms that we can that are in our way, and otherwise just kind of hoping that we get through that with our lives intact. Over the top here to avoid the exploding guy, and we're going to kill this guy by smacking him in the face, picking up the bubble shield and tossing it immediately to give us some breathing room here, and we're going to swap our sword for a brute shot and then just avoid all the rest of the damage here. We want to use the bubble to just give us some time there to make sure that we have all the right stuff. And here, as soon as we see these guys coming out the tunnel, many guys, hit the cloak so that we can just avoid all of them. Let me tell you, doing this in lasso, those guys caused me a lot of trouble. Mostly just thankful that the sword and the hammer and any melee was enough to give us our shield back, because it was a tough stuff. That was a tough section with no cloaking. Anyway, next room. This one's another tough room, but we're just going to skip all of it by jumping up here, over to the right. There's a way to jump on this bit of Covenant stuff here too, and hammer jumping up, but I'm not using it. Grab cloaking in this room, and we're going to delay it as long as we possibly can. Hopefully don't get killed by siege guys. Crouch jump up here. Slide a little bit, hopefully not too much. This guy's in our way, so we're just going to kill him by meleeing him with a brute shot, and then using that bit of Covenant stuff to jump up here. And if you haven't been slow like I have, then you'll have plenty of time to get all the way up here without being killed. I just get lucky here. Toss this bubble shield as soon as you pick it up to give you enough time to get out of there with your life intact. Whew, and jolly good. At this point you actually want to melee a bunch. I mean, you can hammer launch backwards a little bit too to gain some distance, but you want to melee a bunch to delay a checkpoint, because this next room has a trick in it that will cause you to fly across the room and endanger your life. So, hey, delay the checkpoint. Means you'll have to run less. Cool trick too, so swap to stickies, swap to plasma grenades, jump on this overturned box, plasma, and then jump and shoot your hammer, hit your hammer. So moving backwards, hitting your hammer and jumping as soon as the grenade goes off all at the same time. Picking up a deployable cover here, and it'll launch you all the way across the room. We're using the rest of our hammer to just hammer jump, hammer launch around this corridor, and hopefully around this pillar, and we'll skip another Cortana-y, grave-mindy thing, but I don't think I quite get it here because I get stuck on some of the terrain. But if you get it, then you'll skip this, and you'll be already at the door. So good stuff, you save yourself a few seconds, but whatever. I think I'm using all of my hammer at this point, because we're going to pick up a sword anyway. Yeah, so just feel free to use all your hammer. Also, I think if you swap to a brute shot here, you'll be able to break this in fewer hits, but I'm not entirely sure about that. I just didn't in this run.
There's 2 of us in here now, remember?
Oh, there's 2 of us. Halo 1 stuff. Cool stuff. I'm taking the mick, but it's a nice line. Here we're going to use one of those deployable cover launchers, because we can, to go flying at this door. Saves the whole of like 5 seconds, but it looks cool, so I like to do it when I can. If you don't get it right, then who cares, right? Just carry on.
The secret is revealed.
I think it also maybe helps you get through Gravemind's cutscene a little faster, but again, it's not a huge deal. So, we are now going to pick up a cloaking. There's one here, there's one near this box. Swap the hammer for a sword. Actually, do that, Mike. Well done. And we're going to also swap the cloaking here for this bubble. Toss it here, and open this button here. Grab our cloaking back, and just melee the flood that do come over. I'm using a brute shot to do the meleeing, because it's pretty strong and these guys are squishy. We're also taking out these objective markers, these 3 objectives, with brute shots and carrying on. When you're quite certain that all the siege forms are dead, then just make a run for it over here, and then crouch behind this piece of scenery, and then when everything goes haywire and explodes, you won't get flung around. Careful of this dude, he has a mauler and is very scary. I don't know why I went for the melee on him. Could have used my sword as well, but whatever, just use what you've got. And then follow this route. Jumping up here and onto all these weird fleshy bits that I still haven't decided the name of. And we're going to jump over to the left here and avoid all of that hell room that we cloaked through on the way forwards here. Just going over the top, pretty much. Try not to get stuck on any parts of it. See me shaking my head there slightly because I was slightly slow there. Do also be aware that if there's any enemies in this room, no checkpoints. If there's an enemy there, I see that guy on the radar. No checkpoints. If it's clear, you might get a checkpoint here, but don't rely on it. Using our cloak at this point to just avoid all of these enemies, and if this didn't happen with that piece of scenery, we could have used that deployable cover that we threw down there ages ago to jump back up with our brute shot. Just do a brute shot jump back up the hole, and you'll be able to avoid a bunch of stuff here and save, I don't know, 10-15 seconds perhaps. I'm not entirely sure, because every single time I've done this, that piece of cover, that doorway that's exploded, has always taken out my cover, which kind of sucks. But again, it's not such a huge deal. Cortana's a fairly quick mission, honestly. I'm even playing it safe here by swapping to sword and just taking these guys out. And yeah, we're just pretty much just running to the end here. There's not a whole lot that's dangerous at this point, but basically just shooting, killing any flood that are in the way just in case. This guy does have a brute shot. If you're worried about him, take him out. And the rest of the mission is just running, pretty much. There's one more thing to take note of. We are taking a few routes here. Make sure that you empty out your brute shot. Just start firing it. If there's anything in the way, just blast it. If there's nothing in the way, just start blasting anyway, because we want to pick up a rocket launcher in place of our sword. So we have an empty brute shot and a rocket launcher going into the next mission, which is Halo, because that will give us more rocket ammo, which is nice, I guess, and a BR, I think? I think so. Don't hold my word to that. Either way, we want the rockets for Halo. And that's Cortana. Fairly polarising mission, but not actually all that hard. There we go. There's one more left, and that is Halo.